Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the very nature of faith. It's not like a light switch you just flip on, it's a journey. And together, we're going to map out that whole process. And we'll start with a question that I bet a lot of us have asked. So here's the big one, right? Why is life still so hard, even when you have faith? You believe, you have your testimony, but the struggles just keep coming. Why does it feel like such an uphill battle sometimes? Why do we still suffer if we believe? Well, here's the core idea we're going to unpack today. What if the problems we face aren't actually the real issue? What if the whole point is about our faith itself? A faith that's always in a process of growing stronger, of maturing. It's a dynamic journey, not some static place you just arrive at. All right, so let's start the journey. The very first milestone is all about getting your anchor set in the right place. And to really get this, we're going to look at one of the first disciples, a guy named Philip, and see what we can learn from his experience. So when Philip finds his buddy Nathanael, this is what he says. And hey, on the surface, that sounds awesome, right? He's excited, he's connecting Jesus to the old prophecies. But if you look a little closer, you see that while he's not wrong, his faith is, well, it's a little shallow at this point. It's missing the bigger picture. And this is where we see a huge gap in understanding. See, Philip, like a lot of people back then, was looking for a political hero, a warrior king who would kick the Romans out of Israel. But Jesus' mission was never political. It was profoundly spiritual. He came to suffer, to die, and to rise again, to free all of us from a much deeper enemy, sin itself. So here's the first major takeaway. A mature faith has to be anchored in the why of Jesus' mission. It's not just about him being a great teacher or a powerful king. It's about understanding that he is the Christ who came to solve the most fundamental human problem there is, our separation from God. And when your faith is anchored right there, that's when it starts to change everything in your life. Okay, so once that anchor is set, we almost immediately run a smack into the biggest obstacle to our growth, our own self. And for this part, we turn to the very guy Philip was talking to, Nathanael. This is Nathanael's immediate reply. I mean, you can just hear the cynicism, can't you? It's full of prejudice and, let's be honest, a whole lot of pride. He dismisses Jesus completely, just based on his zip code. This gut reaction is the perfect picture of that internal wall that can stop our faith from ever getting off the ground. The source material has a great name for this obstacle, Elyo, which basically means the me problem. It's that part of us that insists, I know better. It's where our personal opinions, our biases, our feelings become more important than what God is actually trying to show us. It's the very pride Nathanael just put on full display. But check out how Jesus responds. He doesn't argue. He doesn't call Nathanael out on his prejudice. Instead, he shows incredible mercy. He looks right past that cynical shell and sees a heart that's genuinely searching for truth. This response is the key to breaking down our own pride. So Nathanael is stunned, right? He asks, "How do you know me?" And Jesus tells him he saw him sitting under a fig tree, which was a common place for private prayer. And in that one moment, everything changes. Nathanael realizes he is deeply, personally, and completely known. And that is the secret. The solution to the self problem isn't to just try harder. It's to let ourselves be fully known by God. That experience just melts our pride away and swings the door wide open for our faith to really grow. Okay, so your faith is anchored, and you're starting to deal with that obstacle of self. So what's next? Well, the final challenge is keeping your eyes on the prize. Because, man, is it easy to get distracted. Seriously, think about it. Put yourself in Nathanael's shoes. He just had this mind-blowing, supernatural encounter. He's totally amazed. But there's a huge risk right here. The danger is that he starts focusing on the incredible experience, the sign, instead of the person the sign is pointing to. And there are three really common detours we can take here. First, there's mysticism, where you're always chasing the next spiritual high, the next miracle, but you miss the person behind it. Then there's humanism, where you reduce Jesus to just a good moral teacher and focus only on good works. And finally, there's legalism, where you get so tangled up in the rules that you completely miss the relationship. Jesus is basically warning Nathanael and us to stay on the main road. So Jesus gives him this powerful course correction. He basically says, "You think seeing you under a tree was amazing? Oh, you haven't seen anything yet." He tells him the real miracle, the main event, is that heaven and earth are now connecting through him.
He calls himself the Son of Man, which is a direct callback to the story of Jacob's ladder, the stairway that connected heaven and earth.
And this, right here, is the true destination for our focus. Jesus isn't just a signpost pointing the way. He is the way. He is the ladder. He's the one and only connection point between God and us. The miracles, the good works, the rules, they're all supposed to point us to him. A mature faith keeps its eyes fixed right on Christ because he's the whole point. So let's bring all this home. What's the big takeaway from this whole journey? I think it's this. Faith is a living, breathing process. It is absolutely not a one-time decision followed by a perfect performance. So what are those milestones again? First, you've got to anchor your faith in the real mission of Christ, his death and resurrection. Second, you let that incredible experience of being truly known by God dissolve your pride. And finally, you keep your focus locked on him, realizing he isn't just part of the story, he is the story. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. If faith really is a journey of maturation, not a place you just arrive at, how does that change the way you look at your struggles, your doubts, even your victories? It kind of reframes everything, doesn't it? It suggests that maybe every single challenge is just another step on the path. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.